Welcome, my friends, to today's show. I'm Dave Ramsey, and today we're diving deep into a topic that could change the trajectory of your life, and it's all about how to take control of your monthly budget. Now, I know you might be thinking, Dave, budgeting sounds like a hassle, something I'd rather avoid, but let me tell you something. This isn't just about numbers on a page or restricting your spending. This is about freedom. It's about peace of mind, about having control over your finances so you can live your life the way you want to.
Imagine for a moment waking up in the morning without that nagging feeling of anxiety about bills or wondering where your money went. Imagine looking at your bank account with confidence because you know exactly where every dollar is going.
That's what budgeting gives you, freedom. It's the feeling of empowerment that comes with knowing you're in control of your financial future.
So let me ask you, how many times have you gotten to the end of the month and wondered where all your money went? I've been there, and I know many of you have too. It's easy to lose track of what's coming in and going out when we don't have a plan, when we don't have a budget. You think, oh, I'll just spend a little here, a little there, but all those little bits add up to something big. And before you know it, you're in debt, you're stressed, and you're wondering how you got here. But here's the truth. I want you to break that cycle. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to feel like your finances are controlling you. You have the power to control your money, to make it work for you, not the other way around. And that starts with understanding your budget.
No, I get it. Many of you are probably saying, Dave, budgeting sounds great in theory, but it's hard.
It can be.
Yeah, but let me tell you, it's worth it. And I'm here to walk you through it.
You don't need a financial degree to make a budget work for you. You just need discipline, consistency, and the willingness to take responsibility. It doesn't matter if you're making $40,000 a year or $400,000. You can control your money. The first step is recognizing that you have a choice in how you spend and save. When you choose to budget, you're choosing freedom. You're choosing to take control of your life. You're choosing to take control of your life, your future, and your peace of mind. Picture this. You sit down at the kitchen table, maybe with your spouse or by yourself, and you look at your finances. You start with your income. What comes in each month? That's your starting point, your foundation.
From there, you begin to list your expenses. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about being intentional. You know exactly how much you're spending on rent or your mortgage, utilities, groceries, and yes, even that morning coffee. Then once you've got a full picture of where your money is going, you can make a plan. A solid, smart, strategic plan to ensure that your money is working for you. And this, my friends, is where the magic happens. When you take control of your money, you start to make decisions that are aligned with your goals. You stop reacting to your finances and start planning for them.
So why is budgeting so important? Well, it's the key to everything. It's the foundation for building wealth, getting out of debt, and ultimately living the life you've always dreamed of.
Without a budget, you're driving blindfolded.
But when you create a budget, you're giving yourself a roadmap, a clear path to follow that leads to financial freedom. It's not about making more money. It's about managing the money you already have.
Think about it. If you're not budgeting, you're letting your money slip away without even knowing it. It's like leaving the door wide open to your wallet.
But when you have a budget, you lock that door tight.
Every dollar is accounted for. And that's the key to stability, security, and wealth. You may feel overwhelmed at first, and that's okay. I'm not going to lie, getting started can feel a little daunting. But it's like learning to ride a bike. At first, you might wobble, you might fall. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. And I promise you, the freedom you'll experience when you take control of your money is worth every bit of effort. And once you start seeing the results, once you start getting that sense of control, it's addictive. You'll never want to go back to the way things were before. So I challenge you today take that first step. Start budgeting. Sit down, take a look at where your money is going, and make a plan. If you're feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. Just take it one step at a time. If you've got debt, start by making a plan to pay it off. If you're saving for something special, an emergency fund, a house, retirement, start setting aside money every month for that goal. It doesn't matter how small the steps are. What matters is that you're moving forward. You're taking charge. You're on your way to financial freedom. Remember, budgeting isn't just about limiting yourself. It's about giving yourself the freedom to make choices that align with your dreams. It's about looking at your finances and saying, this is my money and I'm in charge. That's how you win. That's how you build wealth, pay off debt, and create a future that's stress-free. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it perfectly. Just get started and keep moving forward. Trust me, you've got this. Now let's dive deeper into how to get started on this journey. It's time to take control. It's time to budget your way to freedom. All right, now that you've got a solid understanding of why budgeting is so important, let's dive into the next step, identifying your expenses. This is where you're really going to see where your money is going. And let me tell you, this is a game changer. For many people, the idea of tracking every expense can be overwhelming. I get it. You might be thinking, Dave, I don't have time to track every penny, and I certainly don't want to know how much I'm spending on things like coffee or eating out. But here's the truth. You need to know where your money is going if you want to have any chance at controlling it. And I'm telling you right now, once you start tracking, you'll be shocked by how much unnecessary spending you're doing. So the first thing you need to do is grab a pen, grab a notebook, or better yet, use an app on your phone that helps you track your spending. You might feel like this is a chore, but think of it like this is a chore. But think of it like this. You're about to take the first step toward financial freedom. You're about to get a clear, honest look at where your money is going. And once you do, you'll be empowered to make real changes. This is the part where you get real with yourself. Look at every expense, everything you've spent money on in the past month, and don't skip anything, no matter how small. If you go out for coffee every morning, write it down. If you're buying lunch every day at work, write it down. If you're spending money on subscriptions you never use, write it down. This is a no judgment zone. We're not here to beat ourselves up. We're just looking for the truth so we can make smarter decisions moving forward. And you might be surprised. You might find that you're spending a lot more than you thought. I'm talking about the small things that add up. $4 here, $5 there. It's easy to forget about those small expenses, but when you add them up, they can be draining your bank account. And once you see it all laid out in front of you, you're going to be in a much better position to make conscious choices about where your money goes.
Now,
I'm not saying you need to stop having your morning coffee or going out to eat with friends. What I'm saying is that you need to be intentional. You need to decide, is this something I really value, or am I just spending mindlessly?
once you've written down your expenses, it's time to start categorizing them. You've got your essentials like your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, and transportation costs. These are non-negotiables, the things you absolutely need to survive. Then you've got your non-essentials, the things that are nice to have but aren't necessary for your day-to-day survival, like going out to eat, entertainment, or buying clothes you don't really need. You might also have some subscriptions or memberships that you've forgotten about. Things like Netflix, Spotify, or gym memberships that you're paying for but not really using. Take a hard look at these and ask yourself, do I really need this right now?
Here's the secret. The goal isn't to cut out all fun and enjoyment in life. That's not what budgeting is about. Budgeting is about being intentional with your money, not about depriving yourself. It's about understanding that every dollar you spend is a choice. When you make a plan for your spending, you're making sure that your money is going toward the things that matter most to you.
If spending $5 a day on coffee makes you happy, then great. But if you're just doing it out of habit and not really enjoying it, then maybe that's something you can cut back on. Remember, small changes can add up to big savings.
And once you've categorized everything, it's time to make a plan. The goal here is not to create a budget that's restrictive or feels like a punishment. Instead, we want to create a budget that works for you and your lifestyle.
It's about finding the balance between your needs and your wants. Let's say you've realized that you're spending a little too much on non-essentials. Maybe it's time to cut back in some areas so you can free up money for things that really matter. Maybe you can reduce the number of times you go out to eat each week or cancel a subscription that you're not using. Or perhaps you've identified areas where you can save money, like switching to a less expensive phone plan or car insurance. Every little change you make adds up, and over time, you'll find that you have more money to put toward your savings goals, paying off debt, or investing for your future.
But let me be clear. This isn't a one-time thing. You have to check in regularly with your budget. Life changes. Things come up and your spending habits may shift. So it's important to track your expenses consistently and make adjustments when necessary. You're not going to get it perfect the first time, and that's okay. Budgeting is a process, not an event. It's something you refine over time. The more you track, the better you'll get at it. You'll start to notice patterns in your spending, and over time, you'll become more disciplined. And once you start seeing the progress, it's going to motivate you to keep going. Here's the big takeaway. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to wonder where your money went at the end of the month. When you track your expenses and get intentional about where your money is going, you're taking control. You are the one deciding what happens with your money, and that's what gives you the power to build wealth, get out of debt, and achieve the financial freedom you've been dreaming of. So take the time to track your expenses, categorize them, and make adjustments where needed. Trust me, once you start seeing the results, you'll be so glad you did.
All right, now that you've gathered all the information about your income and expenses, it's time to take the most important step in the budgeting process, creating your budgeting process. Creating your budget, this is where the rubber meets the road, where you transform your financial picture from theory into action.
But let me tell you right now, this is the moment that separates people who struggle financially from those who take control and thrive. I know it can feel overwhelming. You might be thinking, Dave, how do I actually set this up? What do I actually set this up? What do I prioritize first? Where do I even start? But I'm here to tell you that creating a budget isn't as hard as it seems. It's about taking the time to look at your numbers, being realistic about your goals, and being disciplined enough to stick to it. And trust me, once you have this system in place, it's going to change everything for you. The first thing you need to do in creating your budget is to start with your essentials. These are your fixed expenses. These are your fixed expenses, the things you absolutely must pay each month to keep your life running smoothly. We're talking about rent or mortgage payments, utilities, food, transportation, and insurance. These are the non-negotiables. If you have debt like credit cards or student loans, these are also part of your essential payments. And here's the key. These expenses should be your top priority. When you're building your budget, you need to make sure that these essentials are covered first and foremost. It's your foundation.
You wouldn't build a house without a strong foundation, right? Well, the same goes for your budget. You have to make sure the basics are covered before anything else. Next, once you've accounted for your essentials, it's time to look at your discretionary spending, the fun stuff. I'm talking about things like entertainment, eating out, shopping, hobbies, and all those little expenses that aren't absolutely necessary but add enjoyment to your life.
Here's where a lot of people go wrong. They let their discretionary spending take priority over the essentials. They think, I can squeeze by without paying that credit card bill this month, but I can't miss that weekend trip with friends. But let me tell you something. If you don't make paying off your debt and saving for the future your top priorities, you're going to be stuck in a cycle of financial stress. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And here's the truth. Cutting back on these non-essentials doesn't mean you're depriving yourself of joy. It means you're investing in your future. You're setting yourself up for success. You're choosing long-term stability over short-term pleasure, and that's the smart move.
Now let's talk about how to set these numbers down on paper. I know it sounds old school, but trust me, writing things down has a powerful effect. Whether you're using a simple spreadsheet an app or just a good old-fashioned notebook. It's important to get everything out of your head and onto paper. Start by listing all your sources of income. Then move on to your fixed expenses, your rent or mortgage, utilities, car payments, and insurance. After that, list your variable expenses, groceries, transportation, medical costs, and discretionary spending. When you add it all up, you'll have a clear picture of where your money is going and where you need to make adjustments.
Here's a powerful exercise for you. After you've written it all down, take a good, hard look at your discretionary spending. Look at each category and ask yourself, is this something that truly adds value to my life? Or is it just a habit or an impulse? You'd be amazed at how much money we waste on things that we don't even really enjoy or need. Maybe it's that daily coffee you buy without thinking about it, or those subscription services you barely use. Now, I'm not saying you have to cut everything out, but ask yourself, could I be smarter with my spending here? If you could cut back on some of these expenses, that money could be better used to build up your emergency fund, pay off debt, or save for the future. One of the most important things you need to remember when creating your budget is that it's not just about being tight-fisted. It's not about being cheap or depriving yourself. It's about being intentional. Every dollar you spend needs to have a job. Every dollar should be going towards something that matters to you, whether that's getting out of debt, building your savings, or investing for the future. You want to make sure that every dollar is working for you, not against you. That's the power of budgeting. You're not just tracking your money, you're controlling it.
Now, let's talk about how to handle debt. If you have debt, I know it feels like an albatross around your neck. It's heavy, it's stressful, and it can be discouraging. But here's the thing, you can pay it off.
You can get out of debt. And the best way to do that is by creating a budget that prioritizes debt repayment. That's right. Before you start thinking about fun things like vacations or new gadgets, your first priority needs to be getting out of debt.
I want you to list all your debts from smallest to largest and pay them off in that order. This is known as the debt snowball method, and it works because it gives you quick wins. Once you pay off your smallest debt, you take that payment and roll it over to the next debt on the list. Before you know it, you'll be on a roll, and your debt will be disappearing faster than you thought possible.
As you continue to pay down debt and stay on top of your budget, you'll find that you have more money available for savings and investing.
And that, my friend, is where the real magic happens.
When you start to save and invest, you're setting yourself up for the future. You're building wealth. And I can't stress this enough. Building wealth isn't about getting rich quick.
It's about being disciplined, sticking to your budget, and making smart decisions over time. You don't need to make a ton of money to build wealth. You just need to be consistent. And finally, I want to remind you that this is a journey. Creating a budget isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. Life changes. Your income might increase. Your income might increase. Your expenses might change, and unexpected costs will pop up. But as long as you stay disciplined, you'll be able to handle whatever comes your way. The key is consistency. Stick to your plan, adjust as needed, and keep moving forward. So, are you ready? Are you ready to take control of your money? Are you ready to create a budget that works for you? I know you can do it. This is your opportunity to turn your financial future around. It's not going to be easy, but I promise you it's worth it. You've got this.
Now that you've got your budget in place, it's time for the next step, tracking and adjusting. And let me tell you, this is where the real work happens. You see, creating a budget is one thing, but sticking to it, monitoring it, and adjusting it as life goes on, that's where the magic happens. You have to understand that your budget isn't something you set and forget. It's a living, breathing document that should evolve as your life does. You wouldn't build a house and then leave it alone without making sure everything is in working order, right?
You check the roof, the plumbing, the foundation every now and then to make sure it's still holding up. Well, the same goes for your budget. You need to track it, adjust it, and make sure it's still working for you. Here's the thing. Life happens. Your income might change. Your expenses might fluctuate. Unexpected costs will pop up. And when that happens, you don't just throw in the towel and say, well, that's it. I guess my budget is broken. No, my friend. This is where you get creative, where you take control, and where you get intentional with your money. Tracking your expenses and adjusting your budget isn't about perfection. It's about keeping yourself accountable, staying disciplined, and learning as you go. It's about staying in the driver's seat of your financial life. So how do this?
Well, it starts with checking in regularly. At the beginning of every week, sit down and take a look at your budget. Look at where you're at with your expenses.
Are you overspending on something? Have you gone a little too far with eating out or entertainment?
That's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just note it and make adjustments for the rest of the week. Maybe you cut back on a few meals out, or maybe you skip a night out with friends to stay on track. The point is to be aware of where your money is going and make sure it's in alignment with your goals. This is where discipline really comes into play. It's easy to get distracted or to let things slip, but if you're paying attention, you'll catch these things before they spiral out of control.
And here's the truth. This isn't a one-time check in. It's something that you need to do consistently, especially in the first few months while you're really getting used to your new budget. As you get more comfortable with the process, it will become second nature. You'll know where every dollar is going, and it'll become easier to stay on track. But at the beginning, you've got to stay engaged.
This isn't a passive process.
You've got to take responsibility for your money, track your expenses, and make adjustments when necessary. One of the best tools you can use to track your spending is a simple app or an online tool that links directly to your bank accounts and credit cards. These tools can automatically categorize your spending, so you don't have to manually enter every single expense. So you don't have to manually enter every single expense. They help you keep a real-time view of where your money is going. If you don't like the idea of technology tracking your spending, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with using a spreadsheet or a pen and paper. Whatever method you choose, just make sure it's something you'll stick with. The key here is consistency. If you're not consistent with tracking, you won't be able to catch those little leaks in your budget before they turn into big problem.
But here's where it gets interesting. As you track and adjust your budget over time, you're going to start to see patterns in your spending. You'll begin to notice areas where you tend to overspend. Maybe it's your grocery bill that's always a little higher than you expected. Or maybe you're spending more than you thought on online shopping. When you notice these patterns, you can take action. Maybe you need to plan your grocery trips better, or maybe you need to unsubscribe from those email lists that tempt you to buy things you don't need. It's these little things that will add up over time. And as you adjust, you'll find yourself spending less in the areas that don't matter and putting more toward the things that do.
And when you start seeing the results of your efforts, you're going to feel empowered. It's like a snowball effect. The more you track, the more you adjust, and the more consistent you are with sticking to your plan, the more confident you'll become. You'll see your debt start to shrink, your savings begin to grow, and your stress about money start to fade away. It's a feeling of accomplishment. It's the feeling of accomplishment. It's the feeling of taking control of your financial destiny. And that, my friends, is priceless.
But I also want to remind you, don't get discouraged if things don't go perfectly. If you go over budget one week, don't throw in the towel and say, I can't do this. We all slip up.
We all make mistakes. What matters is that you get back on track and keep moving forward. Remember, budgeting is a process, and you're learning as you go. Each mistake is just a lesson that will make you better at managing your money in the future. The key is to keep moving forward, keep tracking, keep adjusting, and keep staying disciplined. I also want to remind you that this process of tracking and adjusting is a great time to check in with your long-term goals. It's easy to get caught up in the day, to day budgeting grind, but don't forget why you're doing all this. You're building wealth. You're getting out of debt. You're saving for your future. All of those small decisions you're making today are moving you closer to those big goals. And every time you make an adjustment, you're one step closer to financial freedom. So keep your eyes on the prize. Keep the long-term vision in mind. And remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
As you continue to track and adjust, you'll gain more confidence in your ability to handle money.
You'll start to see that you're in control. And that, my friends, is the key to financial success.
It's not about how much you make. It's about how you manage what you've got. When you manage your money well, you can accomplish anything. So keep tracking, keep adjusting, and keep moving forward.
You've got this. Now that you've learned how to create a budget and how to track and adjust it, we're moving on to one of the most crucial parts of this whole journey, being patient and disciplined. Let me tell you, this is where most people fall off track. They start strong, they get excited, and then after a few weeks or months, they get frustrated. They don't see immediate results, and that's when they give up. But I'm here to tell you, this is the point where success is made. Patience and discipline are the backbone of long-term financial success. If you can master these two qualities, you will win the money game. You see, building financial success isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. There's no magic trick, no secret formula that will suddenly make all your money problems disappear overnight. The reality is that financial freedom takes time. It's a slow and steady process of making good choices, sticking to your plan, and staying disciplined even when things aren't moving as quickly as you'd like. And let me tell you, that's okay.
It's completely normal for things to feel slow at first.
When you start budgeting and paying off debt, it can feel like you're not making much progress.
Maybe you're paying down a small credit card balance and it feels like it's taking forever. Or maybe you're saving for an emergency fund and it seems like that number isn't growing fast enough. But here's the truth. Even small steps forward are steps in the right direction. Every dollar you pay off debt, every dollar you save, every dollar you invest, those are all wins. And those wins add up. They may seem small today, but a year from now, 2 years from now, you'll look back and see just how far you've come.
Now, patience doesn't mean you just sit back and do nothing.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Patience means you stay committed, even when you don't see instant results. It means you keep showing up day after day, sticking to the plan, even when it's hard.
You keep tracking your spending. You keep adjusting your budget. You keep putting money into your savings account.
You keep making sacrifices where necessary. You keep your eyes on the prize.
That's patience in action. But discipline, that's the real key. Discipline is what keeps you going when the excitement of starting fades away.
Discipline is what helps you stay on track when you get that urge to splurge, when you want to buy something that's not in your budget, when you want to put off saving for the future because the here and now feels more urgent.
Discipline is what stops you from giving into those temptations and distractions.
And let me tell you, it's not always easy. The world is full of distractions. It's easy to get sidetracked by the latest sale, the newest gadget, or the next vacation you think you deserve. But here's the truth. If you want to win with money, you have to stay focused. You have to put your long-term goals above your short-term wants. And yes, that means saying no sometimes. It means not going out for dinner when you'd rather stay in and save that money. It means putting off buying that new pair of shoes or that fancy new gadget because you're focused on your bigger goals.
It's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that will benefit you in the long run.
Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. Success isn't about having everything you want right now. It's about learning to delay gratification. It's about understanding that the things you want today might not serve you in the long run, but the things you sacrifice today, saving for your future, paying off your debt, building your emergency fund, those are the things that will set you up for success tomorrow.
So yes, be patient with the process.
Be disciplined in your actions. because that's how you build real wealth. That's how you pay off debt. That's how you pay off debt. That's how you create financial freedom. And here's the beautiful part. The longer you stick to the plan, the easier it gets. Discipline becomes a habit. It becomes second nature. And when you start seeing the results, when you see that debt shrinking, when you see your savings growing, when you see your financial confidence building, that's when you realize it was all worth it. All the sacrifices, all the hard work, all the small wins, it all comes together and you feel that incredible sense of freedom. You feel the relief of not having to stress about money all the time. You feel the pride of knowing that you've taken control of your finances and your future, but it doesn't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen without effort. It happens because you made the decision to stay the course. You decided that your future was worth the effort. You decided that you weren't going to let money control you. You were going to control your money. That's the mindset you need to succeed.
Now, I know it's not always easy. Life gets in the way.
Things come up that throw us off track. You might face unexpected expenses. You might have a tough month where you feel like you're not making any progress. But here's the secret. When those tough times come, and they will, stick to your plan. Adjust if you need to, but don't give up. When you stay disciplined, when you stay patient, you will come out the other side stronger and closer to your financial goal. So let me encourage you, keep going, stay committed, stay disciplined. You are on the right path. Even when things feel slow, even when it feels like you're not making progress. Remember this, progress is progress, no matter how small. Every step you take, no matter how tiny, is one step closer to the life you want. And the more you stick with it, the more you will see how far you've come. So be patient, be disciplined, and keep moving forward. You've got this. You're going to win. I believe in you.
Now that you've mastered the art of budgeting, tracking, and adjusting, and you've built the patience and discipline to stick with it, we're going to talk about one of the most important aspects of your financial journey, building an emergency fund.
Let me tell you something. It might not be the most exciting thing you can do with your money, but it is one of the smartest decisions you will ever make. You might be thinking, Dave, why should I put money into an emergency fund when I have so many other things I want to do with my money right now?
But here's the truth. An emergency fund is the foundation of your financial security.
Without it, everything else you're working for is at risk. You're setting yourself up for stress, anxiety, and financial disaster the moment life throws you a curveball. But with an emergency fund, you've got a safety net. You've got peace of mind. You've got the ability to face whatever comes your way without fear.
Think about it for a second. How many of us have been caught off guard by an unexpected expense? Car breaking down, medical emergency, medical emergency, job loss. These things happen. They happen to all of us, no matter how well we plan.
But when you don't have an emergency fund, these surprises feel like financial earthquakes. They shake you to your core. They make you question how you're going to make it through.
But when you have an emergency fund, it's like having a buffer between you and life's inevitable bumps. It's like having a parachute when you jump out of a plane, that no matter what happens, you've got a way out.
You're not going to crash and burn. You're going to land safely and you're going to keep moving forward. But here's the thing. You don't just wake up one day with an emergency fund. You have to build it step by step. And that's where a lot of people get frustrated. They want to get to that big number fast. They want to have $1,000 in their emergency fund today and $5,000 in the next month.
But it doesn't work that way. It takes time. It takes effort. And it takes a little sacrifice.
But I promise you, every dollar you put into that fund is a step closer to financial freedom. Every dollar you save is a victory. And every time you add to that emergency fund, you're creating more security, more peace of mind, and more confidence in your financial future. Now, let's talk about how to build your emergency fund. The first step is to set a goal. The minimum amount you want to aim for is $1,000. That's your starting point. The emergency fund that will protect you from life's little bumps. $1,000 isn't going to solve every financial problem, but it's enough to cover most unexpected expenses. It's enough to keep you from going into debt when the car breaks down or the roof leaks. Once you've got that $1,000 saved, you can move on to bigger goals. But for now, focus on that $1,000. And remember, this is a short-term goal. It's not going to take forever to build. If you're committed, if you stay disciplined, you can get there in just a few months. And trust me, the peace of mind you'll feel when that $1,000 is sitting in your bank account will be priceless. But here's the catch.
You've got to be aggressive about it. You've got to put every extra dollar you can into this fund. If that means cutting back on some of your non-essentials for a few months, cutting back on eating out, on entertainment, on impulse purchases, then do it. You're not sacrificing your lifestyle forever. You're just putting yourself in a position to win. You're building the safety net that will protect your future.
The sacrifices you make now will pay off tenfold when life hits you with that unexpected expense, and you don't have to scramble to find the money. Once you've reached your $1,000 goal, don't stop. Keep building. I want you to keep saving until you've got 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in your emergency fund. This will be your real safety net. This will be your real safety net, the kind of cushion that gives you the power to weather any storm.
Whether it's job loss, medical bills, or an unexpected home repair. This is the money that will give you the peace of mind to handle life's curveballs without panicking. And again, this won't happen overnight.
It's a process. But every step you take is a victory. Every dollar you save is a win. And over time, you'll see that this fund becomes a cornerstone of your financial security. The beauty of building an emergency fund is that it takes a lot of the stress out of managing your money. When you have that cushion, you don't have to worry about what might happen tomorrow. You don't have to live in fear of the what ifs. Instead, you can focus on the things that really matter. Paying off debt, saving for your future, and making the kind of decisions that will set you up for financial success. You'll be able to focus on your goals, not on the immediate crisis at hand. And that's what financial freedom looks like. But let me be clear. This isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. There will be times when life gets in the way. There will be times when you have to dip into your emergency fund.
That's okay. That's why it's there. The key is to rebuild it as soon as you can. Don't let it sit empty. Once you use it, get back to saving. And the more you save, the more confident you'll become. The more you save, the more peace of mind you'll have. And the more you save, the closer you'll get to achieving your financial goal.
I want to encourage you to take action right now. Don't wait for the perfect time to start saving. The time to start building your emergency fund is now. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll have the protection, security, and peace of mind that comes with it. You've already taken the first step by deciding to take control of your money. Now, take the next step by building your emergency fund. Stay disciplined. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. And remember, every dollar you save is one step closer to financial freedom.
You've got this. Keep going. You're going to make it.
All right. Now that you've built your emergency fund and you're feeling more secure, it's time to take your financial game to the next level. And that next level is paying off your debt. Let me tell you, getting out of debt is not just a financial goal. It's a life-changing journey. It's about freedom. It's about taking back control of your life and not letting debt be the chains that hold you down. I know debt can feel like a mountain you'll never climb. And I know that sometimes it can seem impossible to pay off. But I promise you this, getting out of debt is one of the most powerful things you can do for your financial future. It's the key to unlocking opportunities. It's the key to living stress-free. And once you get that weight off your shoulders, you will feel a freedom like no other. But before we dive into the process, let me give you some perspective. I know that many of you are carrying around some serious debt. Credit card balances, student loans, car loans, maybe even a mortgage. It's easy to get discouraged when you look at the total number and think, how am I ever going to get out of this? But the key to success here is breaking it down into small, manageable pieces. It's about taking it one step at a time. You don't climb a mountain all at once. You take it step by step, and every small victory gets you closer to the top. That's the mindset you need to approach debt with. It's not about paying off everything in one big swoop. It's about making a plan, staying disciplined, and attacking it with everything you've got. Now, let's talk about how you're going to actually get out of debt. The first step is to organize your debts. I want you to list all of them, every single one of them, no matter how big or small.
Write down the balance, the minimum payment, and the interest rate.
This is important because it helps you get a clear picture of exactly what you're up against. You need to know the full scope of the battle.
This isn't about ignoring your debt or pretending it doesn't exist. This is about facing it head on and saying, I'm taking control.
Once you've got your list, we're going to use the debt snowball method. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, Dave, why not go after the highest interest rates first? That makes sense, right?
And while mathematically paying off the high interest debt first might seem like the best option, the debt snowball method works for a very important reason. It builds momentum. You start with the smallest balance first, no matter the interest rate. The reason this works is simple. When you pay off that first debt, you get a win. You see that balance drop to zero, and that win gives you the motivation to keep going. It fuels your drive. And before you know it, you'll be paying off larger debts faster and faster.
But here's the deal. This doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to be aggressive. Once you've made your list, I want you to focus all your extra money on paying off the smallest debt. And I mean all of it. If you've got any extra income, any windfalls, any tax refunds, put it towards that smallest debt. This is the time to be laser focused. The sooner you pay off that first debt, the sooner you pay off that first debt, the sooner you get the momentum you need to tackle the next one. As you move through your debts, you're going to start feeling that weight lift off your shoulders. You'll pay off one debt, then another, and another, and another. And each time you cross one off the list, you're going to feel stronger, more confident, and more empowered. You're going to see the progress, and that progress is what will keep you going. It's not easy. It's not fun, but it's worth it. And let me tell you, the freedom that comes with paying off debt is unmatched. When you're no longer making payments to creditors, when you don't owe anyone anything, you're free. Free to build wealth, free to save, free to live your life on your terms. But while you're paying off your debt, there's something important you need to remember. You can't go back into debt. This is a one-way street. As you pay off your debt, you're learning how to manage your money, how to live below your means, and how to make smart choices with your finances.
Going back into debt is like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Once you start this journey, you can't look back. If you have to cut back on spending, if you have to make sacrifices, do it.
Because the sacrifices you make today will pay off in the long run. And when you're debt-free, you'll look back and thank yourself for every sacrifice you make.
Here's another important part of the process. You've got to change your mindset. Too many people see debt as just a way of life, something they have to live with. But I'm telling you right now, debt is not your destiny. Debt is not your future. Debt is a tool, and when used irresponsibly, it can wreck your financial life. But when you take control, when you pay it off and learn how to live without it, you'll be unstoppable. You'll have the power to make choices based on your values, not based on the fear of not having enough money. You'll be able to say yes to your future, to your dreams, to your financial goals, without the shackles of debt holding you back. Now I know it can seem overwhelming, and I know there will be times when you feel like throwing in the towel. But here's the truth. If you stay the course, if you keep pushing, if you keep paying off those debts one by one, you will get there. It won't happen overnight. It might take a few months, maybe even a few years, depending on how much debt you have. But every single day you make progress is a day closer to being debt free. And when you get there, it will be worth every penny. You will feel lighter, freer, and ready to take on the next chapter of your financial journey. So stay disciplined, stay focused, and above all, stay determined. You've got this. You are in control, and you're about to change your life. Keep going. Keep paying off your debt. The future you is counting on it. All right, now that you've tackled your debt, built your emergency fund, and set yourself up with a budget that works for you, we're going to talk about one of the most exciting parts of your financial journey, building wealth. This is where things really start to get exciting. You see, once you've paid off your debt and have a solid foundation in place, the game changes. You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You're no longer scrambling to cover bills. You're no longer worried about whether or not your money will run out before the month is over. You're in control. And now, with that control, you can start building the kind of wealth that will provide you with financial security and freedom for the rest of your life. Building wealth isn't about luck. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about making smart, consistent choices over time. It's about understanding that wealth isn't a destination. It's a journey. And just like anything worth doing, it takes time, discipline, and sacrifice. But I promise you this, if you stay committed, if you follow the principles that we've been talking about, and if you stay the course, you will build wealth. And that wealth will give you the ability to live life on your own terms. You'll be able to retire when you want to, travel the world, give generously, and never have to worry about money again. That's the power of building wealth.
Now, let's talk about how you actually start building that wealth. The first thing you need to do is focus on investing. Once you've paid off your debt and have a solid emergency fund in place, investing becomes your number one priority.
I want you to start thinking about retirement, about your future, and about creating streams of income that will work for you. The great thing about investing is that it allows your money to grow and compound over time.
When you invest wisely, your money doesn't just sit there. It works for you, earning returns and increasing your wealth.
But here's the key. Don't wait. The earlier you start investing, the more you're going to benefit from the magic of compound interest. I know that retirement might feel like a long way off, but trust me, the sooner you start, the better. Whether it's through your company's 401k, an IRA, or another investment vehicle, you need to start now. I don't care if you're in your 20s or in your 50s. You can still make a difference in your financial future. And don't make the mistake of thinking that you need a lot of money to start. You don't. You can start small. The key is consistency. Invest regularly, even if it's just a small amount. Over time, those small investments will grow into something big. Next, let's talk about how to make the most of your investments. One of the best ways to build wealth is through low-cost, diversified investments like mutual funds or exchange-traded funds, ETFs. These kinds of investments allow you to spread your money across a wide range of stocks and bonds, which reduces the risk while still giving you the opportunity for growth. I recommend investing in what's called growth stock mutual funds, which are made up of companies that have a history of strong performance and that are likely to continue to grow. These funds are designed to grow over time, and they offer you the potential for great returns.
But remember, investing is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's about playing the long game. Stay invested, stay consistent, and let time do its work.
And I want you to understand that building wealth isn't just about making money. It's also about protecting what you have. One of the most important aspects of building wealth is safeguarding your assets. That means having the right insurance in place. Health insurance, life insurance, homeowners or renters insurance, and disability insurance. These are the safety nets that protect your wealth and ensure that you don't lose everything if the unexpected happens. You've worked hard to get where you are. and it's important to make sure you're protected. But don't go overboard. Be smart about what you need. The goal is to protect your wealth without overpaying for unnecessary coverage. But here's the part I want you to really focus on: generosity. As you build wealth, I want you to remember that true wealth is not just about what you accumulate. It's about what you give away. I can tell you right now that there's no greater joy than being able to give back. Whether it's supporting your church, helping a family member in need, or contributing to causes that are important to you, giving is a powerful way to live a fulfilled life. And let me tell you something. When you give, you not only help others, but you also create more wealth in your own life. It's the law of reciprocity. When you are generous with what you have, it opens up doors for more opportunities, more blessings, and more abundance to flow into your life. Generosity is one of the keys to true financial freedom. It's not just about having more money. It's about using your money to make the world a better place. So, as you continue to build your wealth, remember this: you're not just working for yourself. You're working for your future, for your family, for your community, and for the generations that come after you. Wealth building is about creating a legacy. It's about using the resources you have to make a difference. It's about living with purpose, with intention, and with a heart that's focused on both your own financial well-being and the well-being of others. And finally, as you move forward in your wealth building journey, remember this one important thing: don't ever stop learning. The more you learn about money, the more you'll be able to grow your wealth. Stay curious. Keep reading. Keep educating yourself. And always be open to new opportunities. Building wealth is not a one-time thing. It's a lifelong journey. And as long as you stay committed, stay disciplined, and stay focused on your long-term goals, you'll continue to build wealth, and you'll continue to experience the freedom that comes with it. You've already made incredible strides. You've paid off debt. You've built your emergency fund. You're sticking to your budget. And now, with investing in generosity, you're going to take your financial life to the next level.
I believe in you. Keep going. Keep building. Keep living your life on purpose. The best is yet to come.